Daniel Bazur is the founder and CEO of the Strategic Vision Conference, and I'm going to be talking to him about how all of this came about and his upcoming book, Predicting the Next 100-Year Corporations. But before this interview begins, let's watch a video to set the context.
Once in a while, something new comes along which alters the paradigm shift, and most of the time, it's usually not what we expect. However, when we encounter it, we pause to address, acknowledge, or be part of the discussion. Come along on this eventful journey to meet the author, who figuratively put on Nostradamus' hat in order to predict the next 100-year corporations. The book comes alive with adjectives you wouldn't expect. It's insightful, captivating, funny, and inspiring. But the puzzling question still remains. Apart from most being public companies, what do big brands that have been around for a century or will likely be around for 100 years have in common? I believe you will find the answers in this thought-provoking book. You don't have to be a C-level executive, a professional, a student, or an entrepreneur to appreciate the chess-like moves played to retain dominance, grow profitability, and increase market share. Get ready to read or listen to.
Great. Well, we are back, and it's a real pleasure to be here. Thank you, Sam, for putting on this. Samuel, for putting on this conference. I think it's something we're really missing is the energy and of exchanging ideas with a group of people. And although we would have preferred to do this in person, it's fantastic that you've created this and that we're enjoying that exchange of ideas. So tell us a bit about yourself.
I started off in banking several years ago, and I went from retail banking operations to digital marketing, as well as digital strategy. And from there onwards, I went to management consultancy, and that's what I've been doing. But I'm an entrepreneur at heart. I love to create things. I love to create new businesses. I love to create products, digital products. And I just like the process of creation and doing things from scratch.
Awesome. And tell us about your book, The Next 100-Year, Predicting the Next 100-Year Corporations. Did I get that right?
You did that. You did.
Yeah. So what made you want to write it? Where did the idea come from?
Yeah. 15 years ago, I was speaking with a friend. I remember exactly where I was and how this actually came to be. And I said I'll write a book or two someday, forward to 2019. The idea gripped me because I had already written something about another company, which we all know well, a public company, being 100 years. So it was, and I was going to write about other companies being a 100-year corporation as well. So I said, why don't I just combine this, amalgamate this, and put it into a book, which would be of value to more people as opposed to writing it as an article, which I usually do. So that's how the idea of the book came to be. And I do a lot of research as well as a lot of empirical research when it comes to my writing. I like to incorporate and infuse it with finance, strategy, as well as predictive analysis. And that's how the book came to be.
Yeah. Awesome. And what's the book about?
Predicting the Next 100-Year Corporations is actually, it's about the science and the art of predicting companies which will be around for 100 years. Mm-hmm. I mean, we here in the West in America, precisely, we're a 244-year-old country. And to us, that might seem really grand. Oh, these guys are talking about a 100-year company. 100-year company is actually a toy story when it comes to companies that have been around for 1,000 years. Some companies have been around for 800 years and 700 years. So if we go to Japan, you would see a lot of companies that have been around for that long. If you go to Europe, you see a lot of companies that have been around for 500 years, and some of them are still in existence today. But over here in America, we focus on the quarter, what are my earnings, what is the profitability, how well am I doing? So that is a disincentive. That doesn't allow for CEOs to manage a company well enough into the future by, conceptualizing strategies which would make them really successful. They usually manage companies on a quarterly basis in order to boost profitability and make it good for shareholders. So to answer your question precisely, 100-Year Corporation is about the art and science of predicting companies which will be around for 100 years. 13 of those companies are talked about in the book. I'm sorry, 13 of them. The 13th one is a bonus. They're actually 12 companies, and people can actually see the 12 companies on the website right now.
Awesome. And how did you come to those companies? I'm assuming there's a lot of companies out there.
There are. One of the first examples I would use is to clarify, these are companies that currently exist.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not talking about companies that are going to start today and are going to be around for 100 years. We're talking about companies that are currently in existence,
mm-hmm.
and would be that the book believes that will be around for 100 years. And one of them is Samsung. Samsung was started, I believe, 1938,
mm-hmm.
and it's 82 years old now. It has 12 more years to go. So 12 more years for Samsung to become a 100-year corporation is not that far-fetched, given how big the company is, how vertically integrated the company is, and how vast its tentacles are. A lot of people may not be aware, but Samsung is a company that supplies some of Apple's chips, and I'm talking about 3-4 years ago now. So that may have changed, but Samsung is actually working on creating a lot of its own silicon chips as well,
mm-hmm.
which, as a fabrication company, it takes billions of dollars to be able to create something of that magnitude.
Mm.
So you need to have a lot of money to do that. So Samsung being vertically integrated, number one, is a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Having all of the products which it has is a big deal. I do not believe there's anyone out there who would disagree with the fact that Samsung is definitely going to become 100 years.
Mm-hmm.
What were the things that went into analyzing 100-year companies? Mm-hmm. Number one, it would be the founder's DNA. Founder's DNA matter a great deal. And what I mean by founder's DNA is, when you start something, you need to be able to see far beyond what anyone knows. An example of that would be when Jeff Bezos started off. Jeff Bezos was known within his company, aside from his funny laugh. People knew, the ones that were close to him, his C-suite guys, knew that Jeff was going to set up a company that would sell everything.
Mm.
But if you tell that to someone out there, I'm selling books. Books have never been sold on the internet. So now I'm selling books, and in 15, 17 years time, I'm going to be selling cars, I'm going to be selling pianos, I'm going to be selling whatever it is you want to think about. I'm going to be selling them all. So no one would have thought that would have happened. He knew. And that's what I term founder's DNA. Founder's DNA is, how do you run the company to the next level and take it from being just an idea which you conceptualize? That takes a lot of guts. It takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of sweat, and it's not for the faint at heart. Entrepreneurship is the hardest part of entrepreneurship is the setbacks, not necessarily creating a business. So when people, you reach out to people and they say no all the time, that's what kills a lot of entrepreneurs. Having the fortitude to keep going on into the future, into the next phase, I guess.
So cool. It sounds like you're talking about the individual kind of fabric that is required of an individual founders to be able to persevere difficult circumstances. On top of that, other tenets. What are some of the other tenets? You mentioned some already. Having a vision towards and being able to implement it in the future, creating culture.
Correct.
Within a company. What are the criteria of all of the? What is the main criteria that you used Are you able to kind of break that down for us a little bit?
Management is another one, and you actually hit on quite a few of the points. I'm not sure. Did you read it? Did you read an excerpt or something?
Yes.
Okay. There is no precise formula for it, but the way the book is written in such a way that if there are 13 chapters because there are 13 of those companies. If you read chapter 1 and you read chapter 2 and chapter 3, which are for different books, it would make sense in such a way that after you read 10, 6, 5 chapters, you begin to see the patterns of how you can see why a company would be 100 years. So as opposed not if I'm not going to delve in too much into it, it's better to check it out in the book when it comes out.
Sure. Cool. Very interesting. And can people pre-order the book now?
Very soon they will be able to pre-order the book. Yes.
On where?
On the website.
On the website,
which is the next 100yearcorporations.com. It's actually live right now.
Cool. And so this is your first book?
Yes.
You, I see that you enjoy writing on LinkedIn, here and there a few articles.
Yeah.
But yeah, what's your relationship with writing, and how did you take on such an enormous task? I mean, my dad just finished writing a book, and I was during quarantine with him most of the time. I didn't speak to him for basically 6 months. So it's an immense undertaking. And how did you manage that process of just kind of getting it done?
It's still in the works, but I had to leave it alone for a little while and work in SVC because that takes a lot as well. Writing is a solo endeavor as opposed to building a company or a brand. It takes a lot from you, and I love the fact that I'm able to do my research. And I've been doing this for about, I would say, professionally 7 years, but I've been writing for a lot longer. And I decided, when I said 15 years ago I was going to write a book or two, why not now?
Cool. That's some of that. Make steps ahead. The attitude of just taking steps to do what you envision. That's awesome. And so, were there people that you interviewed in the book? Who are some of the most who did you enjoy speaking to, and who helped you along the process of writing 100-Year Corporations?
A lot of research from media companies such as Bloomberg, CNBC, a lot of all the Bloomberg Financial Times and Quartz and Quants, and a lot of other. I watch a lot of Bloomberg West, so shout out to Bloomberg West. So I get a lot of information from there, and then I go to other sites and verify what I get from there. So
you've been surfing the web and reading some of the most some of those publications that you mentioned. Cool. And let's talk about SVC a little more.
Okay.
Did you know that online conferences would be a thing in 2020? Because it seems that you're a pioneer now in digitizing what has been known as something that we do in person, these large-scale events, bringing together so many different people. How did you manage to do it? First of all, I know that you said you haven't been sleeping much. That's no surprise, but tell us a bit about what goes into.
Full disclosure, I haven't slept in the last 34 hours. But
wow. Well, you look good.
Thank you much. I try. Grace to God, right? It's been an endeavor of epic proportions. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, and bringing over 30 people together, 30 executives from different fields, different industries. It's a blessing, and I'm grateful that we're able to do this, thanks to individuals like you, thanks to individuals like our tech guys who are behind us right now, doing a wonderful job for us, and everyone else out there who helped in the process. Robin from Leighton, and some of my guys at home, Doopy out there. A lot of people really helped, and it wasn't easy, but we made it. So we're thankful that we.
Oh yeah, we made it.
Yeah, we did. Thank you.
Well,
no, I didn't know that online conferences would be a big thing in 2020. Serendipitously, it just happened.
Awesome. And I suppose after this, after sort of pulling this together,
yeah,
what lies next?
I guess we shall see.
A nap first.
I think so.
In the short term.
Yeah, yeah,
then,
that would be nice. That would be, yeah, that'd be great. That'd be helpful.
But you're still currently working as well, aside from SVC.
Yes, I have other projects that I'm working on.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Cool.
Not to be divulged right now, but once it happens, we'll put it out there.
You heard it. Cool. Well, I think what we'll do is if it's all right with you, we'll take a bit of an earlier break, give everyone a chance to grab some coffee,
yeah,
and digest what's been a really dynamic morning of conversations. In the afternoon, we have a lot more panels, 6 more panels, yeah, I believe.
Yes.
Yes, 6 more panels.
And we look forward to the future of work and career management, because we know what's going on out there in terms of millions of people. We know what's going out there in terms of jobs.
Yeah, most definitely. I'm sure a lot of people will be looking to get some tips on how to manage this very volatile work environment. And so with that, we'll leave you guys. Thank you so much for dialing in for the Strategic Vision Conference. It's a pleasure talking to you, Samuel. Thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure as well.
And we'll see you very shortly.